In the Kharkiv region, the Russians started to shell Staryi Saltov. As you remember, the Ukrainian forces in Statyi Saltov have established a passage over the local river and started to agglomerate their forces there. Some sources also suggest that they have established a second passage to the south of Staryi Saltov near Katimlia. This means that the Ukrainians have established a good bridgehead and became a significant threat to the enemy. The Russians realized they are in trouble and first took control over the villages Shestakov and Fedorivka to cut the direct supply road from Kharkiv to Staryi Saltov and then started to bomb this town. Nonetheless, no action took place in that region. The Ukrainians did not engage the Russians in Shestakov and Fedorivka. The Russians did not try to assault Staryi Saltov, and they also did not move closer to Chuhuiv. When it comes to the northern part of this region, the Russians managed to take the village of Slobozhinsk that is located right to the south of Lipsy. The Ukrainians reported that they took the village of Vesel back under their control, but their attempt to take Supivka failed. Overall, both parties here try to push each other in multiple directions, and both parties get mixed results. In the northeast, the Russians opened several more lines of attack. After their series of attempts to take the left bank of the river under their control resulted in a defeat, the Russians were forced to put their offensive from the north on hold. The villages Studenak and Sosnov remained under the Ukrainian control, and the same concerns the town of Svyatohorsk and the nearby settlements. The Russians switched to attacking Svyatohorsk from the south. Intense fights are taking place on the approaches to Bohorodok. The Russians also attacked the village of Dolina, which is located to the east of Dvhenki. In the Barvinkov direction, the Russians are also attacking the villages Korolka and Dibrovn. Today the Russians shelled Dibrovn and again assaulted Korolka, however, their attack was successfully repelled. The Ukrainians in Korolka have been holding off the enemy for more than 3 weeks. When it comes to the eastern side of this region, there were some fights near Rohorodok. The Russians are gradually establishing their positions on the left bank of the river and get closer to the Ukrainian defense line. As there was no point in defending little villages cut off from the mainland, the Ukrainians just left them, so in the near future when the Russians finish assuming their positions along the river, we can expect a lot of attempts to cross this river and a lot of artillery duels. If the Russians achieve some success, this would endanger the Ukrainians in Svyatohorsk and cause them to abandon the left bank of the river and move behind the southern defense line. In the east, the Ukrainian forces made a successful counterattack. The counterattack took place in Severodonetsk. After the Russians took the residential area under their control, they attempted to assault the southern part of the industrial area and got quite deep into the region. Nonetheless, this operation was unsuccessful, and I have no information whether the Russians retreated or were killed, but the Ukrainians immediately made a counterattack and cleared the southern part of the town from the Russians. The Russians had most of their forces in the northern part of the town, and this unsuccessful attack revealed that, which the Ukrainians took opportunity of. In any case, I expect this area to be under the Ukrainians temporarily, because the industrial area is much safer and provides better opportunities for defense. In the southern part of this region, the defense line Ustanivka-Tishkivka-Zalot is still standing strong. After a whole month of continuous fights, the Russians managed to take more than half of Tishkivka, but the Ukrainians in fortified area in the northern part of Tishkivka are still able to hold the enemy off. When it comes to the area to the west of Popasna, the Russians took the village of Nurkov under their control. However, it was also reported that the fights in Polipchatine continue to take place. This puts the Russian operations near Pokrovsk and Kleinov in danger because the situation in the rear is unstable and they cannot use this village for coordination and supplies.